20 stars who were dropped due to controversy. If there's one thing Hollywood seems to thrive on, it's controversy. As the old saying goes, all publicity is good publicity, at least until it starts threatening. Over the decades, scores of stars have discovered, often to their chagrin, that there is a limit to the kinds of bad behavior studios and directors will tolerate in their talent. The most high-profile cases are strong reminders that even fame isn't necessarily foolproof against the controversy that can often erupt from questionable actions, behavior, and comments. 1 of 20. Mel Gibson. Few Hollywood stars have caught fire like Mel Gibson. For much of the 1980s and 1990s, he was one of Hollywood's most in-demand stars and also established his reputation as a powerful director thanks to the success of films such as Braveheart and The Passion of the Christ. Gibson's career took a significant nosedive after he launched an offensive, anti-Semitic rant against a police officer. It didn't help that he had made several other controversial statements throughout his career. However, unlike others, he gradually gained popularity and even went on to direct films that have been nominated for Academy Awards. 2 of 20. Megan Fox. Megan Fox has had a very varied career in Hollywood, acting in movies and television. She had a productive relationship with director Michael Bay for a while, most notably on Transformers in 2007. However, working conditions were apparently quite strained, as was the relationship between director and star. Fox landed in a bit of hot water when he compared working with Michael Bay to Hitler. There is some confusion as to who was ultimately responsible for firing her, whether Bay did it of her own volition or at Steven Spielberg's behest, but either way, she was let go and did not star in the third Transformers film. 3 out of 20. Chevy Chase. During the 1980s and into the 1990s, Chevy Chase was one of Hollywood's biggest comedy stars. Although her career stalled in the 2000s, she began to take off in the late 2000s and into the 2010s, thanks to her appearance on the hit comedy Community. While Chase's comedic instincts were as sharp as ever, he caused little controversy due to his outburst about the direction his character was headed. He eventually left the show, and although he has starred in a few roles since then, he has yet to achieve the same heights of success he once did. 4 out of 20. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has long been admired for his on-camera and stand-up comedy abilities. His increased visibility and comedy success led to him being asked to host the 2019 Oscars. However, as often happens in Hollywood, this particular concert was undermined by the revelation of various homophobic tweets. While she may have survived the scandal, the ambiguous nature of her apology ultimately led to her stepping down from the role. The Academy Awards would go on, but they would do so without a host for that year. 5 out of 20. James Franco. For a while, James Franco was one of those actors who could seemingly do no wrong, and was just as good in a romantic comedy as he was in a superhero movie like Spider-Man. However, probably his most productive creative collaboration was with Seth Rogen. However, throughout the 2010s, there were numerous allegations of his sexual misconduct, ranging from flirting with young women to rape. This led to a number of his projects being put on hold, and even Rogen sought to distance himself from his former colleague. In fact, Franco hasn't appeared in a movie since 2021, a clear indication of how the allegations have affected his career. 6 out of 20. Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett has been acting in Hollywood since childhood, but gained more fame thanks to his role in the TV series Empire, where he played Jamal Leon, one of the sons of a powerful music mogul who struggles for control. From Company. Although she was widely praised for the role, she became the center of controversy when she claimed to be the victim of a hate crime. It was later revealed that the whole thing was a ruse on his part, and he ended up being dropped from the last 2 episodes of the 5th episode and the entire 6th season of Empire. 7 out of 20. Hartley Sawyer. After starring on the long-running series The Young and the Restless, Hartley Sawyer landed a guest role and later a starring role on the popular CW superhero series The Flash. He portrayed Ralph Dibny, the stretched man. She continued on the show until 2020, when several tweets she had written earlier in her career resurfaced, many of which were racist and misogynistic. This led to his termination from The Flash, and it was effectively the end of his career in Hollywood. He has largely withdrawn from public life and has likewise disappeared from both the big and small screens. 8 out of 20. Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer is one of those stars who has repeatedly struggled to break through and achieve lasting success. He came very close with his critically acclaimed role in the romantic drama Call Me By Your Name. Beginning in 2021, however, things began to go south for the actor. Texts surfaced that suggested he might be into various dangerous sexual practices. There were intimations of cannibalism and, more ominously, several women also accused him of assault. This led to his being dropped by his agency and his termination from several upcoming projects. 9 of 20. Jonathan Majors. The 2020s was shaping up to be a particularly good decade for star Jonathan Majors. Not only did he have a major role in the sports drama Creed III, but he was also cast as a major villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In 2023, however, he was accused of physical assault and later convicted on 2 counts in the domestic violence trial, which led to a cascading effect. Most notably, he was dropped from the MCU, where he was slated to play several characters, including the big bad Kong the Conqueror. He was also let go from several other projects in which he was involved, including several recruiting commercials for the Army. 10 of 20. Sasha Mitchell. Step by Step was in many ways a quintessential 90s comedy, focusing on a blended family, headed by Patrick Duffy's Frank and Suzanne Summers Carol and their large brood of children. An additional and much beloved member of the cast was Sasha Mitchell, who played Frank's lovable but toothy nephew Cody. Due to his highly publicized legal troubles, which revolved around alleged spousal abuse, Mitchell was eventually fired from the show after the 5th season. He was replaced by Bronson Pinchot, although the series only managed to limp along for another couple of seasons, thanks in no small part to a change in the network. 11 of 20. Danny Masterson. As part of the ensemble cast of that 70s show, Danny Masterson was a staple of late 90s and early 00s television. He continued to work, gaining roles in both Men at Work and The Ranch. However, accusations that he had raped several women emerged in 2017 and 2018. Eventually, this led to his termination from the cast of The Ranch, and he was also dropped by his agency. He would subsequently be convicted of several crimes in 2023, eventually being sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. 12 of 20. Kevin Spacey. For much of his career, Kevin Spacey was one of Hollywood's most respected actors, capable of appearing in small dramas and more high-profile films. In the 2010s, he earned even more praise for his portrayal of the Machiavellian politician Frank Underwood in the hit Netflix series House of Cards. However, Spacey's House of Cards came crumbling down when numerous allegations of sexual assault were lodged against him. Although he tried to do some damage control by coming out of the closet, he was ultimately fired from House of Cards and replaced by Christopher Plummer in Ridley Scott's film All the Money in the World. 13 of 20. Melissa Barrera. Scream has proven to be one of the most enduring horror franchises of the 20th and 21st centuries, and it got a new lease on life with the release of Scream in 2022 and Scream 6 in 2023. Much of the recent film's success can be attributed to Melissa Barrera, the daughter of Billy Loomis, who becomes this new iteration's main character. However, she earned some unwanted media attention when she made public statements regarding the current war in Gaza, which were interpreted by some to be anti-Semitic in nature. She was subsequently fired from Scream 7, which led to the project entering limbo. 14 of 20. Roseanne Barr. When Roseanne Barr's series Roseanne premiered in the 1980s, it was a revelation. Here, at last, was a show that focused on the struggles of a real working-class family, with all of the money struggles and personal strife. The show made a triumphant return in the late 2010s, only to be marred by the star's racist tweet regarding former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett. Although the show was cancelled, it was eventually revived under the new name The Conners, while Roseanne's character was killed off. She has subsequently continued to court controversy and has been very open about her anger regarding the whole situation. 15 of 20. Lori Loughlin. For those who grew up in the 1990s, Lori Loughlin was famous for playing Aunt Becky in the popular and long-running sitcom Full House. In addition to this role, she gained fame for her work with the Hallmark Channel, particularly for appearing in the series When Calls the Heart. Her career came to a screeching halt, however, when she was revealed to be one of those involved in the college admissions bribery scandal. She was subsequently dropped from both her jobs in relationship with Hallmark and from Netflix, which had been responsible for making Fuller House. 16 of 20. Gina Carano. Gina Carano quickly became a fan favorite on the hit series The Mandalorian after her first appearance as Cara Dune. However, while she certainly fit in with the cast as a formidable action heroine, her off-screen actions proved too much. She made several ill-advised tweets weighing in on such matters as transgender rights, Black Lives Matter, the COVID pandemic, and the 2020 election. Ultimately, this proved too much for her employers, and she was terminated from The Mandalorian. Her character wasn't killed off after her firing, but she stopped appearing after the second season, although she was referred to by another character. 17 of 20. Isaiah Washington. Given its sheer longevity, Grey's Anatomy has understandably undergone several cast changes over the years. Some of these have emerged naturally through the demands of storytelling, but others have been driven by controversy. Arguably, the most notable of these was the firing of Isaiah Washington, largely due to his use of a homophobic slur regarding one of his fellow members of the cast. He stopped appearing in the show after the third season. His career managed to survive the controversy, and he would star in several films and television series, including The 100. 18 of 20. Janet Hubert. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air has the distinction of not only being a beloved sitcom from the 1990s but also for playing a significant role in Will Smith's rise to superstardom. Although he was the main appeal of the show, he was surrounded by a very talented cast, including, for a few seasons anyway, Janet Hubert, who played the first iteration of Aunt Viv. Rumors consistently swirled about why, exactly, she left the show, with many believing it was because of her difficult behavior on set. In reality, it was a controversy of a different sort, and she actually quit the show of her own volition due to a number of personal difficulties and her friction with Will Smith. 19 of 20. Suzanne Somers. The 1970s sitcom Three's Company was very much an ensemble comedy, and its early appeal stemmed from the undeniable chemistry among its three leads, John Ritter, Joyce DeWitt, and Suzanne Somers. As so often happens in television, however, friction erupted into the open when contract negotiations began, and they were particularly acute when it came to Summers, who demanded a significant raise and a share in the profits. After engaging in a quasi-strike, Summers eventually left the show, becoming the first in a number of cast changes during its run. 20 out of 20. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen has had a remarkably varied career in Hollywood, starting with notable starring roles in films such as Platoon and then moving into television. One of his most notable roles was in the hit sitcom 2.5 Men, where he played the womanizing Charlie Harper. Although he was obviously one of the show's main anchors, his off-screen antics tended to damage his reputation. The last straw was when he engaged in a very public and very derogatory fight with the series creator, Chuck Lorre. He was subsequently fired, and he was replaced on the show by Ashton Kutcher, 20 stars who were dropped due.
Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign.